So, originally, I had planned for this episode to be all about spirituality and mindfulness, but to be honest with you, I am feeling quite depressed today. Those days where you just wake up and your body just feels like meh? That's how my brain feels today, where I really just want to lay in bed and sleep and watch TV and eat peanut butter and jelly and do absolutely nothing. But because I promised to show up as authentically as possible, that means that I'm going to pivot. So today I'm going to talk to you about emotional regulation and self-soothing because it's what I'm needing today, and I'm thinking maybe someone else might need it too. Hi, my name is Isabel, and I'm a writer and mental health advocate who is passionate about helping young people live their best lives, no matter where they are at on their mental health journey. As a bisexual Jewish Gemini from Rochester, New York, I let mental illness invisibly rule the first 23 years of my life. But after hitting rock bottom just a year after graduating from NYU, I finally realized that if I truly wanted to be happy, I had to do the work. With a mix of medication, mindfulness, and dialectical behavioral therapy, I somehow managed to not just live, but thrive with my mental illness. And now I want to pay it forward. Meditation, spirituality, hustle culture, sex, and love are all topics we discuss here, along with a bunch of tangible skills that can help you be your best self, even if your brain chemicals are all out of whack. This is Being Yourself Loudly. Since I left Brooklyn and moved to the West Coast in 2019, I have been on a self-discovery of sorts with my mental illness. Back in 2019, I knew that I wanted to live a better, healthier, happier life, and in order to do that, I needed to work with my mental illness instead of against it. While there have been so many things that have been instrumental to me on this journey, like CBT and DBT, the other thing that has been honestly most helpful for me is learning how to cope with my hard emotions, including negative self-talk. Between my BPD, anxiety, and depression, I usually find it really difficult to process emotions as they come to me. Whether it's a fight with Richard or a comment somebody made at work that triggered me, there are so many moments that cause me to just break down, cry, react, or panic, and just generally cause me emotional distress. What I've learned throughout this journey is that the key is not to stop those hard feelings from arising, but to let them pass. Just the other night, I was meditating in the bathtub. Mainly, I was just floating in the bathtub. And I was trying to focus on observing my thoughts and just letting things come and go. I had songs stuck in my head. It was not very easy for me to relax. And then before I knew it, I was thinking about work. I was thinking about this podcast. And in popped a thought that I could tell was deep down under the surface because it surprised me. But I thought to myself, I don't want to be laughed at. I don't want to be bullied. It's a fear that I really hadn't focused much on, and it bubbled up so suddenly that I literally burst into tears. I tried to breathe through it and let the feeling pass, but then another thought came up. You can't do it. You aren't special. You aren't good enough. I cried and I brought my hands to my chest almost instinctively. And just like I learned in meditation class the night before, I tried to let these thoughts pass without grasping onto them. But it was hard, and I was being so mean to myself without even trying. I knew that I had these thoughts there because I had felt them before, but the way that they came up all on their own when I was just trying to relax in the bathtub was surprising to me. So before I get into what I do when things like this come up, I wanted to share what the process is for figuring out when it's time to use a coping skill or a self-soothing method. So for me, in the bathtub, I felt those thoughts and feelings come up and pass through. And I knew that if I didn't do something, I would have spiraled. It takes a lot of mindfulness to be able to regulate emotions, especially if you're like me and are chemically imbalanced, for reals. For example, my anxiety usually shows up physically, either in a sudden stomach ache, a headache, or a speeding heart rate. That's usually a good indicator that something is off. Other times it shows up in the way that I'm speaking to myself in my head, like, that girl is more successful than you, she is better, smarter, you aren't talented, you're nothing. Anything self-deprecating or false mostly. When any of these thoughts or feelings arise, I try and stop myself and ask, are these feelings real and true, or did something happen that has triggered this response? The answer, which is usually the latter, then allows me to see, I could use some help right now. That's when I open my toolkit and I see what sticks. Or if I'm not able to see it myself, Richard knows what he can do to help me when I'm overwhelmed and need some extra love and support. It's the act of taking care of yourself, nurturing your inner child that is scared and hurt, not fighting with it or adding fuel to the fire. The thing that you don't want to do, which I sometimes struggle with when I'm meditating, is, for example, if that thought came up when I was in the bathtub that said, you aren't good enough, you can't do it. My first instinct is to be like, no, stop, go away, and then push it out and push it out. But that doesn't actually work because then it just kind of wants to come up even further. That's what happens with intrusive thoughts. But luckily, with the help of my therapist and coach, I now have like a toolkit at my disposal with ways that I can instantly calm down and self-soothe so that I don't let my emotions spiral out of control. Like that example in the bathtub, I knew that if I didn't do something, I was crying, I was upset, a spiral was imminent, and it could have ended really badly. And by badly, I mean I could have had a panic attack. I could have just cried and cried and cried, and I could have really let that voice in my head beat me down. But I didn't because I have my toolkit. So here's what I did, because this might be helpful for you. I thought about Harold. Now, you must be wondering, who the fuck is Harold? Well, Harold is a little gremlin that lives in my brain. I named him after Harold and Kumar because why not? And originally I pictured this gremlin kind of like the little guys in the Gremlin movie, but that gave me nightmares and I can't think about that anymore. So I switched to like a hybrid gremlin that looks a little bit more like the characters in Monsters, Inc. I actually drew a picture of it, and I will include that in the show notes. Sidebar, I've heard other people on podcasts talk about show notes. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm just rolling with it. So Harold, my gremlin that lives inside me, he is not very nice to me. He likes to tell me that I can't do it, that I am not special, that I am not worthy, I will never amount to anything. You get the picture. While I could easily just tell Harold to shut the fuck up, my coach encouraged me to look closer and ask Harold why he was saying all of these mean things. Turns out, Harold is just as scared as the bullies as I am, and by telling me these things, it's his way of protecting me from them. You see, Harold is my internal defense mechanism, essentially, when things get too hard and too vulnerable. But the problem is, Harold, as he is right now, doesn't serve me. He just makes me cry and feel even worse. So I had to give him a new job. Now, his new job is a cheerleader. Instead of telling me that I'm not special, now whenever he pops back up into my head like he did while I was floating in the bathtub, he reminds me with my help that I am special, that I am worthy, that my voice deserves to be heard, and that there is enough room for me, and that I deserve to take up space. While I rejected exercise for the majority of my short life, I have come to terms with the fact that when I get a workout in at least 3 times a week, I feel so much better. And I have Pure Barre Washington to thank for that. With a focus on low-impact, small movements that strengthen and tone your entire body in 50 minutes or less, Pure Barre is a total body bar workout that transforms you physically and mentally. Luckily for all you listeners, Pure Barre Washington, with locations in Green Lake and University, is giving you 20% off your first month of an unlimited membership. Just use the code BULOUDLY. And remember, your first class is always free. See you on the mat! So let me recap that because I feel like this is a pretty advanced tool that takes a lot of introspective work that I want to explain again. So inside, I have this gremlin that I have named Harold, who likes to tell me that I'm not special. He likes to bring me down, and usually Harold comes up when I'm feeling really vulnerable. For example, the thought of starting a podcast, putting myself out there, trying to build a platform. But I can't just let Harold exist like this because it doesn't serve me. So I gave him a new job. Now he's my cheerleader. So instead of telling me that I'm not special, he tells me the opposite. He tells me that I am special. Hopefully one day Harold will automatically act as a cheerleader instead of a bully, but I'm not there yet, and that's okay. On the off chance that this method doesn't work for me, I then open my toolkit and I see what else is there. This is what I wanted to share with you. Also, because this is a good reminder for me on days when I'm feeling depressed and anxious to open my toolkit and see what I can do to give myself some love. In my toolkit, I have a few different sections. The first section is for when I'm having trouble regulating my emotions. And as someone with a mood disorder and like lots of chemically imbalanced things in my brain, it happens pretty frequently where I'll go through feeling something really, really, really big, and then I will radically shift to something else, and it's a whole thing. For example, a few weeks ago, we were watching a new movie on Amazon Prime. It's called The Electrical Life of Louis Wayne. To be honest, I thought it was going to be a comedy about an artist who made the house Can't famous. It's with Benedict Cumberbatch, and it looked really, really cute on the screen. There were like a lot of cats, and I was like, yay, cats. But it was definitely not a comedy. And I'm about to spoil it for you, so sorry about that. But literally within the first 20 minutes, like his wife dies, his cat dies, and so many other really sad things happen. Louis Wayne also struggled with mental illness and depression, so the movie hit very close to home, and I was not emotionally prepared for that. Sidebar, I really can't watch anything that is too emotional for me these days. There's so much going on in the world. I literally just need to like rewatch Encanto or Gilmore Girls and just like feel comfortable. Anyways, by the time the movie was over, I was sobbing. And before I knew it, I was crying even harder, thinking about my cats dying or Richard dying. It was like a really quick jump just because of this movie. Yeah, it's really fun being married to me, guys. If I didn't help myself regulate, I was going to have a lot of trouble stopping the tears. So I used my toolkit for emotional regulation, and more specifically, Richard got a bowl of ice water and I stuck my entire face in it for 20 seconds. Instantly, my pulse softened, my breath evened out, and even though this was the first time that I actually used this tool, I was surprised at how quickly it worked. After I dried off, I really did feel better. Like the spiral was instantly cut off. A lot of this has to do with the fact that that cold water is like an emotional, like a shock to your body. I don't know the science behind it, except for the fact that my therapist recommended that I try it. So I did. Another tool that I have used is the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding method. So basically what you do is while taking a couple deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth, you do this. First, you acknowledge 5 things that you see around you. Could be a blanket, a spot on the ceiling, like anything in your surroundings. And you count them in your head. So like, for example, right now, 5 things that I see. I see my water bottle. I see a globe. I see my laptop. I see this microphone. And I see a video game controller. The next thing that you do is acknowledge 4 things that you can touch around you. It could be your cat, a pillow, your hands rubbing together. And you do the same thing and you count it out. Next, you acknowledge 3 things that you can hear outside of your body, like a cat purring, a siren outside, the fridge rumbling, anything. Next, you acknowledge 2 things you can smell. I like to keep a candle in the living room and the bedroom for this exact purpose. But honestly, even just like smelling my hair works sometimes, if I washed it recently, that is, which sometimes is not likely. The last thing is you acknowledge 1 thing you can taste. If you don't have any food or drinks near you, you can just observe what the inside of your mouth tastes like. While usually just doing this once is enough for me to feel regulated, you can do it as many times as you need to feel better. But once my emotions are regulated and I'm breathing normally, then it's time to go into self-care and self-soothing. Just because the panic is over doesn't mean the anxiety has passed. There are a lot of things I have to thank for keeping my mental health in check on a daily basis. Believe it or not, one of those things is tiny needles in my skin. For all my Seattle people, I am so excited to introduce you to Ballard Acupuncture, an award-winning women's health acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine clinic. At Ballard Acupuncture, women are given the support and empowerment they need to be their best selves throughout every phase of their lives. The clinic specializes in fertility, pregnancy, postpartum care, and perimenopausal support, and can help you begin your path to better health and promote the well-being of your body, mind, and spirit. For more information, go to ballardacucenter.com. That's ballardacucenter.com. So now, if you can, I recommend grabbing a pencil. Hopefully some of these tools that I'm about to share with you will resonate, and you might be inclined to even write your own toolkit. But remember, just because these things work for me doesn't mean they will work for you. You do you, boo. If you like arts and crafts like me, one thing that I did was I actually made like a physical toolkit with some pretty markers, and I got like a 3-hole punch and I put it together so that I could reference it whenever I needed to. But also, these things are in no specific order because chaos is my friend. So here we go. Number 1, have a mini spa night. Take a hot bath, light a candle, put on a face mask, and read a good book while listening to Taylor Swift. I really find that like doing skincare, anything like that helps me feel more in tune with my body. Number 2 is write it out. Using a journal or anything that you have, it feels really good to just put the thoughts out of your head and onto the paper. As a writer myself, it's something I'm trying to do more because I usually just write for work. So I've been trying to get into the habit of writing in my journal more, even if it's just like a stream of consciousness. Number 3, my personal fave, depending on the mood, is to dance it out in my underwear. I usually just like turn on some Maggie Rogers, light a candle, and I just vibe. I feel like that physical activity of dancing helps get my blood flowing, and it also just helps me feel better in my skin, which is ultimately the goal. Number 4, watch something comforting and nostalgic. So for me, that's Gilmore Girls, Little Mermaid, like I said before, Encanto, but really like anything that makes you feel good. Number 5, I love to bake, so baking anything usually helps me, and my husband loves to eat, so it really is a win-win. Number 6, this one might be a little specific to me, but sometimes when I'm feeling like really ballsy and need some self-care, I will attempt to film like a skincare tutorial. Usually I end up with like a terrible like 18-minute video, but doing that nightly routine feels really good and you'll have fun. So it doesn't matter if it doesn't actually like go onto TikTok or wherever it is. Just the act of doing something for yourself really helps. Number 7, my go-to from my toolkit is actually pretty simple, and it's just playing with the cats. We have 3, so I can usually find one who's down to like chase the laser pointer. If I don't have that energy, even just petting them does the trick. Even right now, I have my little man Maverick asleep on my lap, and feeling his soft fur really grounds me. Either way, I just like to like smush them and feel their love. Number 8, my personal fave, organize shit. Maybe the bookshelf needs some love, or the Tupperware drawer. Pick your poison and get to work. Again, don't forget the Taylor Swift. Are you starting to see a pattern here? Number 9, if I'm feeling particularly impulsive, I like to go to the Container Store or Target. I just find it so comforting, and I could spend hours there, even if I don't spend any money. It's rare, but it does happen. Number 10, if you don't want to spend any money, which will inevitably happen if you go to any of those stores, just take a walk around the block. Bring your headphones and sing out loud. Fuck everyone around you. Just enjoy the fresh air. If you don't want to listen to music or a podcast or anything, just try to practice walking mindfully. So what that means is just breathing, focusing on your breath, and moving your feet. Doesn't really matter where you're going. Go at a slow pace and just feel every motion through your body as the feet touch the concrete, how your breath feels when you're breathing as you walk. All of those different things can help kind of reset you in a sort of way. Number 11, this is another fave of mine, masturbate. Weirdly, when I have a tummy ache, rubbing one out really makes me feel better. But since Richard and I moved in together, usually I'll just ask him if he wants to have sex. And he always says yes, but make sure you finish because I believe in pleasure equality. 12, if the energy in your home is feeling kind of off and you want to reset, it doesn't hurt to smudge everything. So I usually will grab some sage or Palo Santo, and I make sure that I open the windows because you need to get that negative energy out of there, and also make sure that you're hitting like all the corners and doors. When you're done with that and you close all the windows, you can also like turn on the diffuser or get some incense and do some aromatherapy. The energy of your space really, really impacts your mental health. Number 13. An easy one that I often forget about is calling a friend. Someone you're just thinking about and want to say hi, or someone that you know will make you feel better. Your friend will appreciate it and you'll feel better. 14. Another favorite of mine and a really easy self-soothing tool is to just paint your nails and watch a rom-com. My personal favorite is Notting Hill or like Bridget Jones' Diary, or more recently, Someone Great on Netflix. Just watching something that is like uplifting and good, that makes you cry in a good way, is very cleansing for the body, I find. And the act of painting my nails gives me that physical touch that I'm looking for to feel more attuned to my body. Number 15. So this is the most frequent tool I use, and it's meditation. It usually doesn't work too well if you are trying to come down from an intense feeling, but after like an hour or so or before bed, meditation really helps to ground yourself in the present moment and to focus on your breath. I like to use Insight Timer. It's an app that has like thousands and thousands of meditations. And then I have these like headphones, eye mask thing off Amazon that I love that I usually will use before bed. And I will put on a yoga nidra, which is basically just like a nighttime meditation that helps me fall asleep. But it also really helps to kind of quiet the voices in my head, which there are lots of. 16. Deep breaths. This really should be number 1, but it's so natural to me now that I honestly forget about it. Breathing is your body's natural regulator. So just taking a deep breath in and out makes a huge difference. It really does. It's like they say about like exercising will make you happy because of the endorphins. Like it really is true, and the same goes for breathing. Number 17. Arts and crafts. I love this one. I recently created like a craft corner in my living room, and that's where I have like my markers, my pencils, my paints, all of the things. So like use your coloring book, embroider something, paint. Just don't forget to clean up after yourself. That's like low-key a note to myself, but doesn't hurt to remind y'all too, especially if you live with someone. Number 18. Smoke weed, baby doll. My psychiatrist really doesn't agree with me on this, and neither does my father, but it's okay. This is my toolkit, not theirs. So depending on the time of day, I usually try to stick with hybrids or indica. I used to be able to smoke sativa, but I found out it makes my anxiety way worse. So for daytime, a favorite of mine is usually like Gorilla Cookies, which is like a 60-40 sativa indica split hybrid that makes me feel really created and uplifted. It kind of gives me that little energy boost that I need to get out of my head and to put that energy into something physical. And for nighttime, I usually do an indica. Recently, I've been loving Danny DeVito by Fire Bros. It's a bit couch locky, but I don't mind that if I've had a particularly intense day. Sometimes all I want is to just like lay on the couch and watch Step Brothers. Number 19. Play some guitar. I really like to jam out to like Early to Sift or like Wonderwall or like something comforting. This used to be like the number 1 skill before I even had a toolkit. But because I've figured out all of these other ones, it's kind of fallen down the list. Last but not least, the easiest but also kind of hardest thing on this list is to be nice to yourself. Tell yourself nice things. You are loved. You are kind. You are hardworking. You are okay. You are not crazy. Your feelings are valid. You are strong and brave. No matter what you do out of all of these toolkits, or whether you have something that's not even on this list, you have to just remember that you are loved, and it's okay to have scary thoughts, and you're not broken, and you're not alone, and you'll be okay. Thank you for listening to this episode, and be sure to tune in to a new episode every 2 weeks on Sunday. This podcast is free to listen to and available in any app that supports podcasts. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and rate and review wherever you are listening. don't forget to take your meds.